Det er svært ikke at få Sri Lankas spændende kultur helt ind under huden, når man ser de historiske kongebyer, statuer og den smukke dans. Sri Lanka er et smukt og spændende land, der emmer af historie og kultur. I Sri Lanka er der forskellige etniske grupper, der adskiller sig fra hinanden med hensyn til sprog, religion og kultur. Den dominerende gruppe er singalesere, der udgør 74% af befolkningen, men singalesisk som sprog og buddhisme som religion. Tamilerne udgør 18%. De taler tamil og er hinduer. Den tredje største gruppe er de muslimske efterkommere af arabiske, indiske og sydøstasiatiske handelsfolk. De taler næsten alle tamil og udgør 7%. Tamiler og muslimer er minoritetsgrupper i Sri Lanka. En minoritet henviser til en gruppe af et lands befolkning, der adskiller sig fra flertallet, f.eks. med hensyn til religion, sprog eller kultur, og hvis standpunkt ikke er det dominerende i samfundet. Journalisten og menneskerettighedsforkæmperen mener, at Sri Lanka har en efterhånden lang tradition for at diskriminere landets tamilske minoritet.
Well, it's like this. Legally speaking, there is no discrimination. But the way the laws operate, the way they have sort of work out practically, there is discrimination. Of course, now, for instance, even legally, we can, or constitutionally, Buddhism is a language that is, that's a religion that is protected by the state, whereas none of the other religions are. Secondly, the Sinhala language is the official language, whereas Tamil is also considered a is also considered a official language, but it is not given the same status. So legally, again, there are distinctions, but in practice, I think it's much worse, because, for instance, you can't if you're a Tamil, you find it very difficult to go to a police station perhaps and make a complaint in Tamil, because none of the officers would know the language. If you are a Tamil person, you won't receive communication from the government in Tamil or in English. You usually get it in Sinhala.
I 1956 blev singalesisk det eneste officielle sprog, og i 1970 bestemte man, at tamiler kun skulle have adgang til en vis kvote af højere uddannelse.
So there has been no active or straightforward discrimination. The setup is such that the Tamil areas find it more difficult to get students into universities than areas outside.
Krigen i Sri Lanka sluttede i 2009, men problemerne i forhold til diskrimination af visse minoriteter og opretholdelsen af deres menneskerettigheder er dog ikke forbi. Journalisten og menneskerettighedsforkæmperen fortæller os om, hvordan Sri Lankas regering ikke har gjort alt, hvad den kunne have gjort for at opretholde standarderne for menneskerettigheder, når det gælder landets tamilske minoritet.
Sri Lanka government has been committing human rights violations against the Tamil population for the last 50 years. One type of human rights violation is actively related to the conflict. The other is related to the sort of violations that have occurred in the course of times of peace, but basically affects the Tamils' right to equality and their right to the freedom of expression and matters pertaining to that. For instance, the fact that the Tamils can't use their language the same way that the Sinhalese people can means that there is a rights violation there. There is also practical problems associated with their employment, because people who know Sinhala, especially if you are going to join the government service and so on, stand a better chance than others.
Menneskerettigheder er baseret på princippet om respekt for hver enkelt levende individ. Rettighederne hedder menneskerettigheder, fordi de er alle menneskers rettigheder og er universelle. Mens nationer eller specialiserede grupper nyder specifikke rettigheder, der kun gælder for dem, er menneskerettighederne rettigheder, som vi alle er berettiget til, uanset hvem vi er. Krigen i Sri Lanka er nu slut, men spørgsmålet er, hvorvidt problemerne med diskrimination af visse minoriteter og opretholdelsen af deres menneskerettigheder stadig eksisterer.
There was freedom of speech that had been regularly violated because certain things that affected the Tamils could not be spoken about. So, and that has been going on for the last 50 years. But in terms of the conflict, there has been continuous violation of human rights. For instance, even right now, you find people who have been killed. There are cases of disappearances, extrajudicial killings, and so on. In the last 3 years or so, journalists have been killed. Journalists who are writing on Tamil affairs have been killed. Then there is certain Tamil newspapers are not allowed to circulate in certain areas because paramilitary groups that work with the government have not allowed them to freely distribute those magazines or newspapers. At the same time, the army has walked into places and they have basically they have threatened staff of newspapers and so on and asked them not to publish certain things. At the same time, there has been a restriction of newsprint going to certain parts of the northeast, and all those things have been have had a detrimental effect on the freedom of speech. While those are the more institutionalized forms of speech, there is also the normal day-to-day communication that people have with each other. From what we know, especially in the East, where there is the Karuna faction that in existence and who have been very active, what I hear is that even in organizations like the University of Batticaloa, people are scared to talk to each other because they do not know who is with in whose camp. One doesn't know who the other person is, and whether what so and so says might go to the wrong people, and the answer might not be a reprimand. The answer might be a bullet.